they won't go anywhere near trees that have beehives in them. They'll even make a low rumbling vocalization to warn the rest of their herd out of an area that they see or hear bees in. Just like us, the elephants out to the left don't want to get stung. So we started encouraging farmers to put beehives along their fencing. Not only does it keep the elephants out of the farmers' crops, it gives the farmers the added crop of honey and honeycomb that they can sell. It's kind of a neat solution. It's a little bit of a win for everybody involved. Of course, the win for us is a few more beautiful elephant views just across the water to the left. And towards the front right corner of the truck, coming up on the left, there's a flamboyance. And yeah, it's a group of flamingos. These are greater flamingos, the largest and lightest pink of the flamingo species. Well, not the little white birds, those are ibis. That's a different species of bird. But flamingos don't actually start out pink. Baby flamingos are gray fluff balls with black legs. They turn pink as they get older. Mostly they're eating lots of tiny brine shrimp. Brine shrimp is high in something called beta-carotene. It's basically a pigment that eventually turns flamingos pink. It just takes a while to get all the way through their system. We are going to keep heading deeper into the savannah to see if we can find a few more animals to look at. And I'm seeing signs that something else large has been through here. I'm noticing that a lot of the trees have been pushed over or are leaning to one side. A lot of the bark at the bottom of the trees has been rubbed off. All of that, in addition to the tracks I'm seeing in the mud, tell me that rhino have been through here. The reason it adds up to rhino. Rhino horns are made of the same materials that make our fingernails and hair. Their horns grow. They have to shape them to keep them manageable. To shape their horns, they rub them against the bottom of the trees. It rubs the bark off. Also tends to push the trees over, since rhino are pretty massive animals. We're going to have to keep an eye out, see if we can catch up with the ones that have been through here. That's not the only animal we're going to be looking for. This is also bringing us through cheetah hunting territories. Cheetahs are daytime hunters. They can be kind of hard to find. Straight out to the left, there's one where the green part of the hill meets the brown part of the hill. It's another one up on top of the brown part of the hill out in the distance. Rare to see groups of cheetah. They're usually very solitary hunters. They like to stay on their own. When you do see a group, it's known as a coalition. A couple more of them on the side of the hill out to the left. The cheetah have been causing a lot of trouble in Namibia hunting livestock. The farmers out there have been hunting the cheetah to protect their livestock. Not a good solution since they're endangered. So our reserve supports training programs that train large dogs. They scare the cheetah away from the livestock without endangering the cats, saving their lives. There are rhino out here, but there's a young one coming up on the left that I thought might be more fun to look at. So we're going to pull up to this one instead. Based off the size, that littler one is probably about 2 years old, so not quite a baby anymore. 2 years would be about teenager. They're usually going to weigh about 150 pounds when they're born. They get very big very quickly. This one's probably a couple of thousand pounds already. But at their full growth, the white rhino are going to weigh somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. They are the largest of the rhino species. Unfortunately, it looks like we might be caught here for a little while. There's a little bit of traffic up ahead. It's all right, we'll keep an eye out, see if the rhino comes out again. The white rhino also tend to be a little bit more social than other types of rhino. They like to stay in larger groups. When you see a group of rhino, it is known as a crash. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for more of them even. As our traffic clears up, we'll head around. Yep, there they are. A few more coming up on the right. Now you'll notice I keep calling these rhino white rhino. They're not actually the color white. It's kind of a funny story. Under the mud, black rhino and white rhino are pretty much the same color. These animals got their name from a miscommunication. Native Dutch settlers in Africa called them wijd. Wijd is the Afrikaans word for wide. English settlers came in, heard them saying "vite," thought they were saying "white." The name stuck. Now, past the rhino, there's an antelope moving around out there. That's a water buck. We'll see if we can get a few more views of it as we head around the rocks. They tend not to migrate too very far. Water buck find a nice aquatic area, a place with lots and lots of water. They just kind of hang out. But out to the left, whoosh, it's a lion. Whoosh. About 9 different vocalizations that range from kind of that chuffing, barking sound all the way up to a roar. If he was to roar, you'd hear it about 5 or 6 miles from where he's standing. That's how they announce their territory. If you can hear the lion, you're in its territory, which is good to know. Out to the left, I see some large burrows in the ground. Those holes are most likely warthog burrows. They're one of the largest of the burrowing mammals, so we're going to keep an eye out. Out to the right, more white rhino. There's also a few ostrich out here. Ostrich are birds. The lovely ladies, they've got wings, they lay eggs, they do not fly. Ostrich run. These girls can reach about 40 miles an hour. It's pretty quick. After paying attention, you notice I call them lovely ladies. We happen to know for sure that all of these are girls, not just because of the leftover eggs coming up on the right. It's actually the color of the feathers that gives it away. Grayish brown feathers means they're all girls. Boys would be much darker, pretty much black in color, which makes it pretty easy to tell the difference. But this is going to bring us out past one of the warden's outposts. And recently, the warden has been raising Nigerian dwarf goats. That's great for the reserve for a couple of reasons. First of all, Nigerian dwarf goats, like the ones coming up on the left, are kind of adorable. This is as big as they get. They stand about 18 inches tall at the shoulder. Now, secondly, because of their smaller size, they take up less space. They cost less to raise than their larger cousins, but they still provide a very valuable sweet goat milk that can either be drunk or sold for added income. And they tend to eat a lot of things that other animals won't, like brambles, weeds, and rubbish. Clears out the area, making it easier for other animals to find the food they're looking for. I think it's really cool when it's the humans and animals living together and working together to improve the environment around them. It's really what a lot of the conservation efforts are striving for. I talked about some of the programs that our reserve's been involved in, but if you'd like more information, stop by one of the local merchandise locations. They can even let you know you can help out with those programs too. But one of the biggest ways that we can help the animals we love is by helping others learn to love them too. Hopefully the animals out here were able to inspire you. And if you learned something new, spread it around. Getting to share knowledge and excitement about the animals is something very special that we can all share in together. But before I let you go, for any wilderness explorers on board my truck today you've all been riding aboard the Simba 1. That's Simba, the Swahili word for lion, wildlife reserve. We're about to go get a glimpse of Africa, including some of the most amazing animals. You can feel free to have cameras out and ready to try to take pictures, but if you're going to do that, I recommend high-speed settings. There are areas on the reserve where we are not allowed to stop. Even when we are allowed to stop, it's only going to be for a few seconds. So I also recommend that you hold on to those cameras and all of your personal belongings very tightly. It could be a while before we see dropped items again. We're gonna get started right away, heading deep into the Little Ituri forest. Already you're gonna start to see some animals. Out to the right, that's an okapi. Often mistaken for relatives of the zebra, because the stripes? Okapi are actually the only living relative of the giraffe. It's because of the shape of their heads. The boys even have ossicones, which are the false horns like all the giraffe have. Towards the front left corner of the truck, the orange-colored antelope on top of the hill are bongos. Bongos are also known as the ghosts of the forest. They love to stay hidden away in the densely vegetated areas. Both male and female bongos will grow those back-swept horns. It helps them get through all of the dense vegetation they call home. This brings us around towards one of the local watering holes. These are good gathering spots for animals. They're one of our best chances to find some of the rare ones. So we're going to keep an eye out. More than once, I've been just a few yards away from an animal out here before we noticed it hiding in the bushes. I saw something moving around up on top of the hill to the left, so we're gonna loop around the corner, see if maybe we can get a view. Might just have been wind pushing tree branches around, but I think straight out to the left by the rock wall, you might see a tail in the distance. That is a black rhino. Unfortunately, they're a rare view because they've been hunted nearly to extinction. Our reserve has been trying to change that. We've been working with groups in Zimbabwe, so hopefully they won't remain such a rare view. But there's another view out to the left, up on top of the hill. That tall, light tan antelope is a greater kudu. Kudu are the second tallest antelope in Africa. Boys would stand almost 5 feet tall at the shoulder. Girls like her, not too much shorter. Easiest way to tell the difference with the kudu, the girls are one of the few African antelope that do not grow horns. The boys grow horns up to 71 inches in length. It's almost 6 feet long. It makes them really noticeable. Now, as we head out to the river, you're going to notice a few birds in the area. There's a few ducks out here. Out to the right on the riverbank, that is a Nile hippopotamus. Now, pretty rare to see them out of the water during the daytime. Please sit down. Please sit down. Thank you. I know this is very exciting, but we are on a moving vehicle that I might need to start or stop very suddenly. Again, that's for your safety and the safety of those around you, that everybody has to stay sitting down. Also out to the right, big gray-white birds, pink-backed pelicans. They get the name because during mating season, their back turns a light pink color. They blush. But towards the front left of the truck, I see some ears in the water. Looks like there might be a few more hippos out here. We'll keep an eye out. And like I was saying, it's rare to see them out of the water during the daytime. They are considered to be nocturnal. Hippos typically climb out of the water at night when it's a little bit cooler to eat food. Each hippo eats between 80 and 90 pounds of grass a night. They are willing to walk about 6 miles down the riverbank and about 2 miles inland to get all the food they're looking for each night. Hey, buddy in the back, sit down for me, please. On a lap or on a bench? Thank you. Again, my friends, that's for safety, so if someone needs to translate back there, feel free, but everybody has to stay sitting down. Especially because we are about to drive over a really rickety bridge, and as we do, if you look out to the left, those are Nile crocodile. They can snap the bones of their prey with their powerful jaws. They will even go after prey larger than themselves, like zebra and wildebeest. By larger, I happen to mean bigger or taller, not necessarily longer. From the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, those crocodile average about 16 feet long. That's about as long as giraffe get tall. So we are headed away from those rivers, out towards a completely different ecosystem with completely different animals. We're headed out to the savannah next. And speaking of different, we have a different kind of tree on the right, known as the baobab. Also known as the upside down trees, you know which one it is. The one on the right kind of looks like it's got its roots sticking up in the air. Now, they're not really roots, of course, they are branches. Baobabs go leafless about 9 months out of the year to conserve water. We should find a few more of them out in the savannah, so we're going to keep driving around. And as we drive around this corner, our first view of the savannah, Serengeti grasslands. These grasslands stretch for miles across East Africa. They're home to millions of migrating animals every year, making it kind of like their version of a superhighway. And already you're going to see some animals. Out to the right by the tree line, that's one of the Hartmann's mountain zebra. Different types of zebra have different types of stripes. No two individuals are exactly the same. They're each unique. and that's something they learn from birth. When a baby zebra is born, it imprints on its mom, meaning it can pick its own mother out of a group of hundreds of others just based off its mom's stripes. A baby zebra will only attempt to nurse from its own mom. Now there's some wildebeest out to the right. We're going to talk about them in a little bit because we're going to loop around. On the left, we're at one of the edges of the reserve. And if you look past the fencing, those are African painted dogs. Now, these dogs typically hunt during the early mornings and again in the late afternoons when the rising and setting sun makes them almost completely disappear. They typically spend the rest of their day relaxing because these dogs are endurance runners. They can reach speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. And they'll hold those speeds until other animals drop from exhaustion. It's part of what makes them the most successful hunters of mammals in Africa. Out in the distance to the left, those are sable antelope. Those are all girls. The boys' horns get a little longer. The boys also darken as they age. The dominant male, the boy in charge, gets to be so dark brown he looks black. But on both sides of us, this is part of a group of wildebeest. Now, I say part of a group because wildebeest are one of the largest migrations in Africa. Usually, there are hundreds of thousands of them in a single grouping. There can be as many as 1.5 million in one migration. We are going to keep an eye out for more. Now, wildebeest does translate directly to wild beast. They got that name because people thought their faces looked kind of terrifying. Personally, I feel if you saw several thousand of them coming at you all at once, you'd be a little bit scared. Thus, wild beast, the wildebeest. You might get another glimpse of the zebra out to the right, towards the front left corner of the truck. Coming up on the right, the animals with the massive horns are Ankoli cattle. Their horns average 3 to about 4 feet in length. They can reach 6 feet wide from tip to tip. But towards the left, up on the hill, you might see a massive light tan antelope near the bushes, kind of towards the front left of the truck. That's an eland. Eland are the tallest of African antelopes, standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder. They're also pretty good jumpers. They can jump 6 to about 8 feet from a standstill. Imagine jumping your own height. It gets more impressive when I tell you fully grown adult males, like the one out to left, weighs about 2,000 pounds while he jumps his own height. Out to the right, past the Ankoli cattle, these tiny light tan antelope are full-grown springbok. That's as big as they get. They stand about 3 feet tall. They weigh no more than 100 pounds. They'll jump 6 feet in the air repeatedly when frightened or excited. They literally spring from place to place, which is kind of fun. They can also jump 10 to 11 and a half feet forward in a single bound, which is pretty impressive. Coming up on the left, it looks like there's a few giraffe in between the trees out here. A group of giraffe is known as a tower. It's a tower of giraffe, and that is so appropriate because they start out big. Now, we have not seen any babies on our reserve recently, but baby giraffes stand about 6 feet tall when they're born. It means they can look into the eyes of any full-grown adult human standing in the grasses next to them from birth. Now, I know height gets a little skewed from the truck. To show you how tall all of these animals really are, keep in mind that the armrests at the side of our truck are just over 6 feet off the ground. We are very high up in the air today. This is going to bring us out past Monkey Point next. Coming up on the left, it's its name for a group of mandrills. They're a little bit shy to outsiders. I would not blame you if instead of looking for monkeys hiding out to the left, you just want to look at the elephants coming up on the right. They are a lot larger. The elephants are a lot easier to see.